Good morning. It is Tuesday, March the 7th, 2023. I'm Pearson Bowen. This is the CBC Morning Report. Barbados will now have international help in dealing with marine issues in waters beyond our national jurisdiction. That's one of the benefits coming out of the first international treaty to protect the high seas that was agreed upon on Sunday by the United Nations. The head of the Barbados delegation, Juliet Bab Riley, the mission head in Ghana, and also the CARICOM co-leader on this treaty process, joins us now live from Ghana to look at other positives associated with the agreement. Good morning to you, Mrs. Bab Riley.
Good morning to you as well. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. Now, this has been 15 years in negotiations. What were some of the blocks that prevented it from coming to fruition earlier?
Well, as you would imagine, once you are negotiating an international agreement involving 193 countries, it is going to take a while. The intention was to work towards getting universal participation in this new agreement, given that the issues being decided in the agreement relate to areas beyond national jurisdiction, namely the high seas. So it has taken us some time in order to ensure that the interests of all parties, as much as possible, is reflected in this new agreement.
What does it mean now to have the world's oceans and a network of protected marine areas?
Well, the most important part of that is that it facilitates an integrated approach to the way in which we manage the resources in areas beyond national jurisdiction. As you would appreciate, the ocean is a single ecosystem. Right now, in terms of legal processes, the ocean is divided between areas within national jurisdiction and areas beyond national jurisdiction. But to the extent to which we're actually dealing with one ecosystem, it was necessary to ensure that what happens in areas beyond national jurisdiction are not prejudicial or have a negative impact on the management of our resources within national jurisdiction.
One of the benefits of this treaty is the advantage of having funding unlocked. How can Barbados and CARICOM benefit from this?
Yes, so what we have done in this agreement is to identify various streams of funding for the agreement. There is, for example, provision for usual financing through voluntary contributions. The agreement provides for mandatory benefit sharing contributions by developed states, and the agreement also names the Global Environmental Fund as the GEF as one of the partner agencies that would assist in financing this agreement. The agreement also makes provisions for civil society organizations, philanthropic foundations, and the private sector to contribute to funding of the agreement, the implementation of the agreement, both on a voluntary basis and to the extent to which there are products commercialized from the utilization of marine genetic resources for a portion of the revenue derived from those products to be paid into a special fund. But apart from financing, the agreement also contains robust provisions on capacity building and transfer of marine technology. It sets up modalities for those, as well as the institutional arrangements associated in the agreement, namely, for example, the Capacity Building and Transfer of Marine Technology Committee, which would allow that institutional body to focus on ensuring that capacity building and transfer of marine technology is done in a targeted way. We were also able to get agreement for a seat to be given to CIVs since we will need the necessary capacity building and transfer of marine technology to allow us to successfully implement the agreement.
What do you see to be the timelines to move from agreement to action?
Well, under the agreement, it requires 60 states to ratify the agreement in order to enter into force. To the extent to which several states, more than 60 states, were involved in the negotiation of this agreement, and that we have sought to ensure that there are terms in the agreement that would encourage universal participation. I am hopeful that perhaps within the next 2 years that we can see this agreement enter into force. But now that we have agreement on the draft text, the next step would be to mobilize support for countries to take the necessary steps to ratify the agreement.
Mrs. Barbarelli, we have to leave it there, but thank you so much for joining us from Ghana. That's Juliet Barbarelli, who is the head of the Barbados delegation and the mission head in Ghana. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me. Have a good day.
Likewise. The CBC Morning Report continues in just a moment.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment.
Well, you may have heard of this. Altering our DNA could be on the horizon. Top scientists from around the world are in England at the 3rd International Summit on Human Genome Editing, examining the possibilities.
Victoria Gray isn't used to the limelight. A mum from Mississippi, she's now the star attraction at the Human Genome Editing Summit in London, here to describe the treatment that's changed her life.
I think it is a great thing. Who doesn't want a good quality of life where you don't have to suffer? Because my disease I didn't choose. I was just born having to endure pain and hospital stays. It was a life that I felt wasn't worth living.
Victoria has been cured of debilitating sickle cell disease by an experimental gene editing treatment. Her story represents a major advance with implications for millions born with the rare blood disease each year. Inherited diseases like sickle cell, cystic fibrosis and Huntington's begin as variations in genes, the codes in human DNA that tell the body how to make cells. New tools like the so-called CRISPR system can find, cut and replace faulty parts of genes to deliver a corrected genetic code. Senior researchers like Fyodor Urnov foresee a world in which CRISPR is able to provide a rapid cure for the genetic mutations it encounters.
The next horizon, the next big breakthrough for us as a community is to take that amazing technology and make it available, manufactured at such scale for the tens of millions around the world who have a mutation that needs to be CRISPRed today.
It is a goal that raises important ethical concerns.
One of the greatest concerns is that we're really moving into what many people would call, potentially, not yet, but soon, a soft eugenics, in which it's not just what do you want to have a baby, it's what kind of baby do you want to have. And, you know, the potential for enhancement is there.
To be clear, no one at this summit is talking about eugenics. In fact, when a Chinese scientist announced in this very forum 5 years ago that he'd altered the genetic makeup of embryos in a lab and then brought them to term, his announcement was met with shock and outrage.
I felt like I had nothing to lose. I was at the end.
But very precise editing of genetic code to treat and cure rare diseases is making its way from the experimental to the practical, albeit currently at enormous cost. The next great challenge is to make it accessible and affordable.
Russian military positions around the eastern Ukrainian city of Bakhmut are in peril unless mercenaries from the Wagner Group urgently receive ammunition. This warning from the head of the private military firm, saying that Russia's front lines near Bakhmut could collapse if its forces did not get the shells and rounds promised by Moscow in late February. It's the latest sign of tension between the Kremlin and the militia chief of a group accused of war crimes.
Mercenaries or fighters. Some of the men from this group are accused of robberies, rape and massacres by Western countries. But the Wagner Group says it's done nothing wrong. They call themselves musicians and their battles concerts. Intelligence estimates say tens of thousands of Wagner mercenaries have been involved in Ukraine. Russian criminal code bans mercenaries, but private armed security guards are allowed. Led by Evgeny Prigozhin, believed to be close to the Kremlin, the group's been involved in combat operations in Syria, Libya, Sudan, the Central African Republic and Ukraine.
There's a perfectly established command and control system at the Wagner private military company. Everyone is heard, everyone can air their opinion. All conversations end with the phrase, "What other opinion is there? And what else is needed to complete the tasks?" If decisions are made, once it's made, all tasks are carried out and no one can back down. The brutal discipline gives us these opportunities. That is why the Wagner went forward and will go forward.
They do not see themselves as cannon fodder. In their view, they're heroes fighting for their country.
Wagner has its own artillery, aviation. They have their own training centers. It's an interesting solution to create the kind of private military company that Russia has managed to create. They've learned from the British and the Americans.
But that's not unique for the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Analysts say the appeal of private armies means fewer dead soldiers, and these groups are not bound by laws as regular armies. A United Nations study says hired as security guards, private contractors were performing military duties. The UN Working Group says specific judicial actions are needed to prosecute private military and security companies involved in human rights violations. In 2014, the US group Blackwater was found guilty of killing 14 Iraqi civilians in 2007 in Baghdad. It continues its presence with different names. The UAE has been accused of hiring mercenaries in Yemen. German ex-soldiers have been charged with creating a mercenary army to fight for Saudi Arabia. A Hungarian-Israeli private security company owner is accused of hiring US military personnel to kill specific individuals. And there is a long list of guns for hire in international conflicts. According to the UN's Working Group on the Use of Mercenaries, fighters have been involved in gross human rights abuses, possible war crimes and crimes against humanity.
The UN recommends effective accountability measures for mercenaries, mercenary-related activity and private security personnel. And unless world powers stop using proxy armies instead of the ones bound by international law, rights abuses will continue on battlefields.
We're about 15 and a half minutes away from the start of Morning Barbados today, and so coming up then we'll have our conversation on CARICOM. Today we want to focus on CARICOM's fast developing relationship with the African Export-Import Bank and with Africa in general. Also this morning we will be taking a look at the importance of conservation when we're joined by an architectural conservator. And when Dr. Gillian Birchwood this morning joins us, we want to look at childhood obesity. Those and a whole lot more straight ahead at 6:30 on Morning Barbados. The CBC Morning Report continues in just a moment.
Enjoy movies, soaps, drama, comedy, inspiration, education, music, and more. You get it all when you get MCTV, because MCTV gives you more.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and inspirational. You are the epitome of the Barbadian spirit, testing the boundaries of your creativity. If you are an entrepreneur, artist, baker, designer, author, or have done anything
A significant escalation is expected today in the impasse between the concerned residents of St. Joseph and the Tenby project developer at Bathsheba. At issue is a wall being constructed by the developer, which residents contend will prevent their traditional access to Joes River and the area known as Teacup and Saucer. CBC News understands that cultural ambassador and social activist, the Most Honourable Dr. Anthony Gabby Carter, and other prominent Barbadians will be on site to voice their concerns about the wall. The issue was raised last week by some residents, and there was a response by an attorney representing the developer. Unsatisfied with the explanation given, residents intend to continue their protest. CBC News also understands that the concerned residents have retained the services of a prominent attorney at law to fight their cause. Consumers in the United States will in a few days be able to buy locally produced and packaged sugar in supermarkets there. That's the word from the Barbados Agricultural Marketing Management Company, who have shipped 2 containers of the product to Miami. Chief Executive Officer Orlando Atherley and other sugar officials spoke to CBC's Trevor Thorpe.
The demand for Barbados sugar in the U.S. market is high, and according to Barbados Agricultural Management Company officials, the process leading to today's exercise started more than a year ago, but there were some challenges.
What we're doing here this morning is a continuation of a strategy we rolled out over 3 years ago when we exited the bulk sugar space. That was to make direct consumption sugar where you extract a higher value into the market. Our marketing team, led by Mr. Gwynnes, has been working with a company out of Miami for the last year and a half in terms of getting sugar into the Miami market under their brand. This is a combination. We did a first shipment last month. What we wanted to make sure was that we got through all the custom procedures and the FDA procedures. That was done successfully. The sugar went on the shelf and stayed about 2 days. So we're now at the point where we're accelerating the exports, and Mr. Gwynnes will better speak to the volume that we will be shipping out on a monthly basis.
Today's shipment was 40,000 tons of sugar.
We were able to contact Blue Roof brands who were interested with the sugar from Barbados. So today we are so excited because the first shipment was received almost a month ago, and as the CEO indicated, the shelves are now empty, and they are eager to receive the second shipment. We will go off today. We are sending 2 containers of 20 tons each into the market. It's expected that going forward, every month, we will send 3 containers, which will be 60 tons into the USA market.
Officials say all indicators are suggesting that expansion is on the cards.
We're also seeking out to expand in the regional market, where we currently have 1 customer in Trinidad, and there's interest for this harvest to have another customer, where we are looking at about 900 tons going into the Trinidad market as well from this harvest.
Direct consumption sugar from Barbados is in demand on the regional and international markets, and the sugar officials are in an upbeat mood as the local sugar harvest moves into high gear. Trevor Thorpe, CBC News.
Well, Barbados has sought help from its regional neighbours as it tries to mitigate the impact of rising animal feed costs. Minister of State in Foreign Trade and Business, Sandra Husbands, says the rising costs caused great concern because it made the production of nutritional quality meats more expensive. According to Ms. Husbands, the Barbados government reached out to Guyana, Belize, Suriname and Trinidad and Tobago about producing the necessary inputs for animal feed.
Because those would come in zero rated, hopefully we'll be able to control the cost of animal feed. And I must say that the response by those countries to that effort was immediately very positive, and Guyana started putting in more acres of their land into the production of cassava and soya, corn and so on. Belize and Suriname as well followed suit. Trinidad had already started. So this would give us the food security which we need in order to be able to benefit from their presence. So along with general food security, when you have hurricanes, we also have this initiative in terms of animal animal feed production. And we're hoping that as that comes to fruition, that it will begin to flow into the Barbadian space.
Well, Barbados is set to host a major United Nations meeting next March. It's the inaugural Global Supply Chain Forum. National Coordinator Carlos Wharton spoke about the significance of the event.
You would ask, why is that important? You would appreciate that COVID-19, the unfortunate events in Europe, and the war in Ukraine, and other bottlenecks caused due to a high demand for transportation and indeed for cargo, has led to significant bottlenecks in terms of our ability to access certain essential goods and services, services also in some instances, talking about air transport. So for us, this Global Supply Chain Forum allows Barbados and other small island developing states to put on the table the key issues that they see are affecting their ability to trade.
In the Bahamas, the local Rastafarian community there says they're still waiting for an update from government on the protection of their sacramental rights, which includes the medicinal and recreational use of cannabis.
High Priest Rithmond McKinney says they were promised a conversation during the first quarter of the year, and he's still hopeful it will happen.
No, not as yet. We're still waiting to get some update on that and get the government response on that. It was made to understand through the media that the government state that the first quarter in this year, and I mean, tomorrow is the 1st of March. I think that's when the first quarter starts, basically. So we're still hopeful that something be done.
McKinney says while they look forward to discussions, he doesn't believe they need government's approval to practice their sacramental rights.
But when it comes to our sacramental rights, I don't think that's something we're really waiting for the government to really give us. We just want the government to respect it and protect it because they're on the box for us. And that's what we want the government to put something in writing that they respect the Rastafarian rights and how they see we shall go forward.
Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has called for the perpetrators of schoolgirl poisonings to be punished as attacks spread across the country. Khamenei says the poisonings are a major and unforgivable crime and the perpetrators must face the harshest punishment for incidents that have spread fear among parents and throughout Iranian society. More than 5,000 girls have been affected since November last year.
A parent's worst nightmare. The suspected gas poisoning of schoolgirls has been going on for months and across various parts of Iran.
I felt like I smelled paint.
I have very severe numbness in my body. I can't walk at all.
Many described similar symptoms, a strange smell, numbness, their teacher backing them up.
The students all felt the same symptoms as me. They had coughs, some of them said their eyes burned, and most of them were scared.
There have been protests calling for an investigation. It's rare that this kind of footage makes it out of Iran. And it has reached the highest levels. Iran's supreme leader has called for those responsible to be held to account.
This is an important issue. If there are really hands involved and people, groups are involved in this matter, this is a big and unforgivable crime. Responsible agencies, intelligence services and law enforcement agencies must pursue them. And the perpetrators must be condemned to severe punishment. It is a serious and unforgivable crime. There will be no amnesty for them.
The United Nations has weighed in, calling for a transparent investigation. Iran has rejected what it calls foreign meddling. However, President Ibrahim Raisi has now assigned a working group to investigate.
The continued poisoning of schoolgirls across Iran is unconscionable. There must be a credible, independent investigation, accountability for those responsible. If these poisonings are related to participation in protest, then it is well within mandate of the UN's independent international fact-finding mission on Iran to investigate. The possibility that girls in Iran are being possibly poisoned simply for trying to get an education is shameful and it's unacceptable. And our thoughts remain with the victims and their families.
In sports now, Barbados should have a strong presence at the upcoming 2023 Carifta Swimming Championships in Curacao. A number of swimmers met the qualifying standard for the April 6th to 10th event on the final night of the Long Course Championships at the Wilde Aquatic Centre. In all, 3 age group records were broken and 18 qualifying times achieved. Damien Best takes a look now at some of those who met the mark.
Long Course Nationals, let's dive right into it. Boys 11 to 12, 200 metre backstroke. The Carifta A standard, 2 minutes 47.16 seconds. Dolphin Swim Club with 3 entries in this one. Let's skip ahead to the closing stages now. Michael Sobers of Alpha Sharks has a slight edge on Zachary Burke of Dolphins in lane 5. Those tired legs and arms keep moving thanks to the encouragement of the spectators, but only one athlete can take the spoils, and it was Burke with that extra kick to seal the deal in the Carifta A qualifying time, 2 minutes 40.18 seconds. Sobers also achieving the standard, 2 minutes 41.24 seconds. More Carifta qualifiers coming up. This time we switch to the girls 11 to 12 100 metre breaststroke. Amaya Harrison had the final 50 metres for her own. She's repping High Tide Stingrays Swim Club. The Carifta A qualifying time, 1 minute 27.55 seconds. Just look at the gap between her and the rest of the field. The technique looks solid and the time even more impressive. Stopping the clock in 1 minute 22.81 seconds. Sanaya Minnis of the Barbados Olympic Swim Club, second in 1 minute 28.30. That's a Carifta B time. The 11 to 12 boys next. Heat number 2 had the fastest timed final. Middle of the pool gets all the attention. That's Burke back in business for Dolphins and making a statement. His only rival was the clock at this stage. The Carifta A qualifying time, 1 minute 22.59 seconds. And once he picked up the pace in the final meters, it was signed, sealed, delivered in 1 minute 21.00 seconds. Great effort. Heat number 2 of the girls 13 to 14 section, also an achievement of merit. 4 swimmers going in this one. Faith Jeffrey of Pirate Swim Club in lane 4, making her way to the finish with the Carifta A or B time in sight. It was clear that the latter would be more within her reach, considering the time that elapsed so far. With every pull, it became a reality. She touched the wall eventually in 1 minute 23.18 seconds. The Carifta B time, 1 minute 23.40. And finally, in our highlights reel, the girls 15 to 17 had 2 fierce competitors among a field of 5 athletes. Anika Otway of Grenfins out of Grenada and Adara Stoddard of Barbados representing High Tide. Stoddard in lane 4 led for the majority of the way, but with 50 meters to go and a Carifta A time of 1 minute 19.98 within reach, Otway found an extra gear. Just look at her go, cruising by Stoddard to touch the wall first in 1 minute 16.91 seconds. Stoddard 1 minute 17.47, both booking their tickets to Curacao. Damien Best, CBC Sports.
With that, let's take a look at our forecast conditions now as recorded earlier at the Met Office, the Grant Lee Adams International Airport. At the moment, Barbados 25 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy conditions abound. The winds are coming from the east at 21 kilometers an hour. Expect today a low tide at 14 minutes to 10, the second at 19 past 10 tonight, and a high tide at 10 minutes after 4 this afternoon. Seas today in Barbados moderate in open water, swells ranging from 1 to 1.5 meters and steady. So the forecast for Barbados today, partly sunny with a few brief isolated light showers. Barbados tonight, mostly clear. A look at some forecast conditions for international cities. That's today's edition of the CBC Morning Report. I'm Pearson Bowen. Morning Barbados starts now.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning, good morning.
I so agree. Good morning to you indeed and welcome to today. Today is Tuesday, by the way. Tuesday the 7th of March 2023. I'm Pearson Bowen. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for waking up early to keep us company as well. To you on our YouTube and Facebook streams, grateful for your company. Continue to interact not just among yourselves, but with us here at Morning Barbados as well. Now, coming up today, you get a chance, fingers crossed on every toe I have, to unscramble some letters with us. We get a chance to have some fun with you indeed when we do so. When Dr. Birchwood joins us this morning, we want to take a look at childhood obesity. It is still very much a cause for concern, and it can be a cause for long-term concern as well. So we want to take a very good detailed look at childhood obesity today and what we can do as caregivers to prevent our little ones finding themselves with this non-communicable disease. Battered Not Bruised is back with a new series, and the founder of the series will join us this morning to tell us what's up ahead. Also today, we continue to shine the light on people with disabilities. It is indeed National Disabilities Month and Month for the Disabled, and so we want to look at their upcoming talent show. We'll get the details about how you can be a part of it as well. We will look at the importance of architectural conservation when we're joined by an architectural conservationist this morning to look at why or should we preserve the buildings around us as well and their beauty. But let's get started this morning by having a look at our conversation on CARICOM, and we are joined by Barbados Ambassador to CARICOM, His Excellency David Commichon. Ambassador Commichon, good morning.
Morning, Pearson. Pleasure to be here.
Good to have you as always. I want to start by looking at Ghana. Just recently, just a couple of days ago, as a matter of fact, Ghana celebrated its 65th anniversary of independence at Illawarra Court. And what a time you guys had.
Oh, yes, yes, Pearson. Sorry. It was just last night, actually. We had a wonderful celebration. As you know, there are more than 100 Ghanaian nurses in Barbados, and they have formed themselves into a Ghana Association of Barbados. And so the Prime Minister very graciously offered Illawarra Court. Everybody pitched in, the NCF, Prime Minister's office, and we really had a grand celebration last night. Ghana's non-resident ambassador to Barbados, he came in all the way from Cuba. And yes, you know, last year, Prime Minister Motley was in Ghana on their Independence Day at the invitation of their president. I accompanied her to that celebration. So it was wonderful to continue the momentum this year with a grand celebration in Barbados.
And so this is, again, another demonstration of our strengthening of our relationships with the continent Africa indeed. And in so many ways, we're seeing the reciprocation coming, like with the establishment of the Africa Export-Import Bank. Let's talk a little bit about that and what they've been doing in the Caribbean thus far.
Yes, you know, Barbadians would have been hearing quite a bit about the Africa Export-Import Bank. I mean, they would have been hearing the name. But it's important that they know a bit more about this institution, because this institution is poised to play a very important part in our developing relationship with the continent of Africa. It's a public-private African bank. It's both African governments and the private sector. It was established some 30 years ago, 1994. By Caribbean standards, it's a massive institution. It has assets of close to 63 billion Barbados dollars. We say it's a bank, but it's really the Afri-Exim group of companies. It's not just a bank. It's a fund for investing in trade. It is a company for developing industrial parks and special economic zones. It's a company for developing specialist hospitals. It's a payment system, a system to facilitate trade payments across the continent of Africa. And it is going to be establishing a headquarters, a Caribbean headquarters, right here in Barbados. And you know, it will start with an office, but that office will then mushroom into a conference center, hotel facilities, and so forth. So it's making a very substantial investment in the Caribbean and in Barbados in particular. We first came into contact with this bank, Pearson, in the dark period of 2020, when COVID was at its height, when the whole world was in a panic. All countries all around the world were scrambling to purchase medical supplies and personal protective equipment. Everybody was sending in their orders to the big medical supplies companies, and no one would take the CARICOM order seriously. We had the money, but we were so small, our order was so small compared with the big countries that we couldn't get a hearing. No one would sell to us. And Africa came to our rescue. Africa said, look, we have this continental-wide African medical supplies platform financed by this African Export-Import Bank. Why don't you put your CARICOM order into our large Pan-African order, and we'll approach the market? And so said, so done. And because of the size of the order, not only were we able to get the attention of the companies, but the price that we got for our Caribbean medical supplies was much lesser because of the economies of scale. We were part of a much bigger order. And so that was the beginning, a very good beginning. And in September 2021, we had the first Africa CARICOM Heads of Government Summit. All kinds of beautiful undertakings made by the governments. But who was it that followed up? Within a month, a team from the African Export-Import Bank was in Barbados to follow up on that summit. So that's October 2021. They started to work with Barbados and with Export Barbados, Invest Barbados. And within less than a year, together we pulled off the African Caribbean Trade and Investment Forum right here in Barbados. 1,700 participants, 1,200 out of Africa from 41 different countries. Out of that historic forum came the partnership agreement. The partnership agreement between the bank and CARICOM countries, the same agreement that the bank has with the African countries. And so far, 9 CARICOM countries have signed on to that agreement. On the basis of those 9 countries signing, the bank has allocated a sum of $1.5 billion to finance investment and trade between Africa and the Caribbean. And they have said, their directors have said, if and when the other CARICOM countries sign on, that sum will be increased to $3 billion. So it is looking extremely good. There are at least 10 initiatives that are already on the agenda for the relationship between Africa and the Caribbean, negotiated by or facilitated by the African Export-Import Bank.
The little boy in me gets all excited and says, when do we start, sir? And so what do you say to that question to the little boy who wants to, when does this really get going? We want to see the establishment of the headquarters here. We want to really see things beginning to move ahead. What can you say about that?
Well, the headquarters is coming very soon. I think the way they're going to start with the headquarters is they're going to start with premises that already exist in Barbados, and they're being facilitated by Invest Barbados and Export Barbados. So they're going to start with, but then they're going to be building. They're going to be building their own headquarters. In a sense, we have already started. I mean, the most important thing is that sum of money that has already been set in place to finance trade and investment. Since we had the forum in September of last year, the African Import Bank has brought 3 trade missions to CARICOM. 3 trade missions. They've been in and out of our region since September last year. and a number of deals. So the trade missions are where they are bringing African private sector business people to the region to discuss investment opportunities. So for example, already on the cards is a fish processing enterprise for Barbados. Already finalized is the construction of a geothermal energy plant in St. Kitts. And a number of other things are in the works. The thing about this is that the bank is standing behind these projects. So the bank is bringing the business people together, but the bank is also providing the finance to ensure that the project gets done. The bank has also, in addition to the bank operating in the Caribbean, the bank is also supporting the idea that CARICOM should have its very own Caribbean Export-Import Bank, and the bank is making grant financing available to the CARICOM Secretariat to finance the studies that will lead to the establishment of a Caribbean Export-Import Bank. The bank has already committed to doing a trade and investment forum every year. The idea is that these forums that would bring together African and Caribbean business people, investors, governments, etc., should be on an annual basis. Ultimately, it will be 1 year in the Caribbean, 1 year in Africa, but to begin with, to consolidate the momentum that we have made in the Caribbean, this year's forum will also be in the Caribbean, and they are working on that right now. A big thing that will excite Barbadians is the bank has undertaken to help put in place that direct flight between Africa and the Caribbean. So the bank has undertaken the role of meeting with African airlines, discussing with them to see which would be the best partner to get that direct flight done. And at the CARICOM Heads of Government Summit in Bahamas last month, the bank came to the summit, their whole team came to the summit, and they revealed that negotiations are ongoing with a Nigerian company, Earpiece, and it is looking extremely promising. And the likelihood is that we will consolidate an arrangement with Earpiece for weekly flights between Lagos, Nigeria, and Barbados. So it is my hope that during the first half of this year, we can see that initiative materialize. The bank is also working with our CARICOM Development Fund. Our CARICOM Development Fund is trying to establish some new Caribbean development bonds. We have close to $60 billion US dollars in savings, Pearson. The people of CARICOM in the banks of our region, gaining little, virtually no interest. And so Prime Minister Motley has been pushing the idea, look, instead of us going all over the world trying to beg in for money to finance development, why don't we try to mobilize some of these savings that belong to us, the Caribbean people? So rather than having this money just lying in the bank, getting no interest, why not give our own Caribbean people the opportunity to invest some of their savings in development bonds that will bring them maybe 5% interest, so they can make something on their money. So the bank is actually helping with the technical work to make that happen. So it's already, Pearson. Remember,
yes.
This bank first came to our region in October of 2021. It's just about a year and a half, and already so much that is substantial and concrete is already on the table.
That's fantastic indeed. And so with all of that, Ambassador, we got to leave it right there. We're out of time. you said something to me, my technical director. You know, right, so we know that just recently you did something really different. And so we want to share with our audience this morning this difference. If you didn't know him, now you know him indeed. Take a look, folks.
It's not so much about I am a Bajan. Ghana is the name I come to proclaim. We will be merry, jolly and gay. The 6th of March, Independence Day. Ghana.
Wow, well done. Well done, Ambassador. Well done indeed. A bit of extempo. You did it very, very well indeed. I want to thank you so much. Go ahead.
Fun and game in Lara Court last night. I had to fill in for the Prime Minister because she couldn't get away from the estimates debate.
Right.
But it was a wonderful occasion.
Indeed.
And you go ahead, Pearson.
Your father will be very proud of you for what you just put forward.
Yes. That's a beautiful song that Lord Kitchener composed 1957 when Ghana became the first of the black African, the British colonies, not just African Caribbean, to gain their independence. So Ghana became a symbol, a very important symbol of colonial freedom. And of course, we in Barbados, we followed 9 years later in 1966. So to celebrate Ghana's independence on the 6th of March is a big thing. It was really historic, not only for Africa, but for us in the Caribbean as well. And the final thing I probably should say, Pearson, that the African Export-Import Bank is also working with us on, they have something called the Pan-African Payments and Settlement System. That's how they facilitate trade across the various countries of Africa so that you don't, when you're trading, you don't have to be putting up all of this hard currency. This is a system for facilitating the payments for trade. We used to have that system in CARICOM a couple of decades ago with our CARICOM multilateral clearing facility. So our central bankers right now are in discussions with the African Bank to see how this payment system that they have developed for Africa could be extended to the CARICOM region. So not only would it help us in intra-CARICOM trade, but once we put it in place, then it makes it easier for CARICOM to trade with the continent of Africa. They have the African Continental Free Trade Area. We are developing our single market and single economy. So that would be the financial mechanism to join the two trading regions together.
Wow, there's a lot going on. There's a lot happening indeed. And so we want to thank you again for bringing it clearly to our attention. Ambassador David Commichon, thank you so much for joining us again this morning.
My pleasure, Pearson.
As always.
Thank you.
Ambassador David Commichon, Barbados Ambassador to CARICOM. There's a lot happening in that relationship between Barbados and Ghana, Barbados and Africa. And so let's pay close attention to its development. We're coming back after this.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and inspirational. You are the epitome of the Barbadian spirit, testing the boundaries of your creativity. If you are an entrepreneur, artist, baker, designer, author, or have done anything you think should be highlighted, email us at morninbarbados@cbc.bb. Let us show the world our exceptional Bajan youth.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
10 minutes now to go to 7 o'clock. Sometimes we look at an old building as what we call old building, and we just think the best thing to do is to just bulldoze it, get rid of it, right? That's what we tend to do. Well, there's someone who says, no, hold for just a moment, because it might have great historical value and great value overall. That person is known as an architectural conservator, and there she is on our screen. Her name is Jamila Sukunbi. Good morning to you, Jamila Sukunbi.
Good morning, Pearson, and how are you?
I'm well, thank you for asking. How do you do?
I'm well, thank you.
Good. Talk a little bit about what you do as an architectural conservator.
Well, basically, I think I should probably tell you what it is because a lot of people aren't exactly sure what an architectural conservator does. So basically, we look at the value of a building, its historical value, its design integrity, and we take all of these things into consideration and then come up with an effective plan as to how we can maintain it and preserve it for years to come. And there are three basic rules which you should take into consideration as well, which would be to retain as much of the building as you can, to repair as much as you can as well, and also to sensitively restore all the extra existing parts after that.
How is it for you driving across Barbados and seeing the properties and then you're dying to get your hand on it? How is that for you?
It's heart-wrenching because I feel like we have a lot of good buildings that just need a little attention. First and foremost, I feel like we need a maintenance program to help us along the way because, you know, the buildings that we have now will eventually become older buildings. So I think the idea is to have a maintenance program in place where we can constantly be maintaining our buildings so that they don't necessarily fall into such disrepair.
And these are not necessarily just stone wall buildings alone, but also timber buildings.
Yes, all natural material buildings.
And so you're talking now not just about, you know, the fact that it was developed in 1924, but that even if it was developed in 1968, it also has intrinsic value, and that's the value that you want to be able to conserve and preserve and to ensure that it appreciates as opposed to depreciate. So how do you go about doing so?
So basically, I normally go out and I do an assessment of the building. I look at the material, how it's failing, what's still in place, what's actually affecting the building. And funny enough, one of the major problems with our buildings is actually water. Water is the devil. And it kind of gets into everything. And once that's inside, a lot of other trickle effects happen. So it's basically to go out, assess, understand the building, understand how the material actually works. Because once you understand how the material works, then you could come up with a better solution for it. So like you won't put limestone and concrete together because they're not friends. But a lot of people don't know that. So it's really understanding the building, how it works, what it's used for, how often it's open, all that sort of stuff comes into play.
Well, since you blame water as the devil, so then, given the fact that we are in a space where we're going to get some good beating from the rain from time to time, how then do we ensure that we build with the integrity that says it's going to last for a whole lot longer than having to look back at it next year?
Well, basically, guttering is very important. I find a lot of people let their gutters remain blocked. And this is even with just a normal modern home. We don't check our gutters, they get blocked. I see so many plants growing in gutters. And once the water can't go through that channel, it will find another way to travel. So once it's finding another way to travel, it's getting into other parts of the building. So then that's where the problems really start.
So guttering is one of those things that we need to look at. We're talking about being conservative with our architecture and building in such a way or repairing in such a way that we ensure the integrity of our buildings and preserve them for as possibly long as we can. And so guttering is one idea that you think we need to actively start to look at. What else do you think we should now begin to focus on?
I think that a lot of people tend to throw away older techniques from like previous years. And I think there are some of the most amazing techniques that have been used, from as simple as how chapel houses are made, and they have like these high-level vents that allow hot air to rise and pass out. Everyone lives in a concrete house now. No one thinks about, oh my gosh, it's hot. How is this hot air getting out? And concrete is a material that actually sucks in heat during the day, and then it releases it back into the atmosphere at night. So everyone's going out to buy a Lasco fan, when in truth and in fact, you can just borrow some ideas from, you know, our forefathers and people that did it before to help us to be better able to live comfortably in this climate.
You're right, the windows helps with ventilation. We've gone away from that. I used to call them the flaps, but you know what I'm talking about. Those kinds of windows that we had constructed at strategic points as well. You know, back then our architects and designers understood wind flow and the value of the release of the air as it comes through as well, and somehow we've gone away from it. So you're asking us, as we build, consider that now, and as we tend to want to do because not everything necessarily needs to be pushed down. We can make alterations and renovations
and repairs, and we have a lot of buildings. We have a lot of crown buildings that we could actually repurpose. Like in other parts of the world, they repurpose old buildings. They're cafes, they become museums, they become restaurants. There's so many different things that you can actually do with older buildings that we kind of think, oh, it's old, it needs to go. No, it doesn't need to go. It just needs a little tender loving care and some maintenance. And, you know, we can use it for something else.
How many people in Barbados have this skill set that you have?
Me? I know of one other girl. But she did sustainable design conservation, I think it is. So hers may be a little different to mine. But as far as I know, there's only me. So I just recently started a business called Rebuilding Conservation, and I'm hoping that I can begin to offer my services to persons, even if it's just to give them advice, do assessments, if they're doing restorations, anything along that line, because we have a lot on island that is of value that we need to keep and maintain.
You're so right. A lot of those bond houses that you see along in town, for instance, or in some of the older towns that Spikes Town, that could be such fascinating spaces, either as a restaurant or living dwellings as well. All sorts of things.
Auditorium.
Yes.
Yes.
The potential is rich and real, and that's what the services that you offer as well, and that consultation is what we need to have with you, so that we can begin to see how we use our spaces. But then there are some other buildings that have come on the landscape within relative recent time that can also be repurposed accordingly, and that's also the service that you offer.
Yeah, definitely. There's so many different avenues that I could go down. There's so many ways to repair, retain, restore. Like the opportunities are endless, and the possibilities as well. It just takes persons to realize, you know, we don't have to throw away everything. We can use them. But I think that people are afraid to restore and maintain because they don't understand the materiality of the building. So that's something that I can help with too. Like limestone is our main older building material, and it's a simple material. It's just that people don't understand how to use it or how to restore it.
A lot of our churches were built with that, and a lot of our churches suffer as a consequence of not knowing. And this is where your skill sets will come into play. Is there one building on the island that you wish you could get your hands on to fix up?
One is a bit hard, you know. Let me think. Parliament's a good one. I think the maintenance of that's important. I think a lot of people tend to power wash limestone buildings, and you really shouldn't be power washing limestone buildings. We have quite a few that have gone. You know, like the old eye hospital and all those that are on Bay Street. Before they got to that stage, there could have been an intervention to actually help them so they would not reach that stage. So there are too many.
You know the traffic lights at the top of Hines Hill?
Hines Hill.
But near the university, top of University Hill.
Oh, yes.
Those traffic lights. There's an old wooden building that's just, if you're about to go down the hill, for instance, it's to your right. It's at the corner right there. It's so stately looking. I just hope and pray that nobody affects its architecture. I think it's absolutely beautiful to behold. And maybe you can have a discussion right there to preserve it. I'd love to hope that in generations to come, they begin to see those designs that are so old but so beautiful at the same time, and that's the service you offer. I want to thank you so much for joining us and really opening up our eyes to the fact that we don't have to dig down. We can make renovations, we can make repairs, we can upkeep, we can fix up, we can do a whole host of things to our buildings to preserve them as well. As a conservationist, thank you so very much for joining me this morning, Jamila Sukumbi. By the way, where did this last name come from, if you don't mind me asking?
It's African. My grandfather is African.
Oh, how lucky you are. How truly lucky you are. Beautiful name, though. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. You're welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Jamila Sakunbi, she's an architectural conservator consultant, and so she can share with you, if you ever need her services, as to how you can otherwise use the spaces, how you can preserve the buildings that you operate in or live in, and how she can retain their beauty. It's such a wonderful skill set that she has. Consider her. We'll take a break here. We're coming back in just a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Books open your heart, your mind, and your soul. They are educational, entertaining, inspiring, and motivating. Are you an author of a recent book you want to share? Then Mornin Barbados would love to feature your book in our The Next Chapter segment. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. That's morning without the G. Come and let us turn those pages together.
Because you love English Premier League, MCTV has got it back. Now you can watch all the games of the English Premier League plus UEFA and NFL on MCTV. Current customers can upgrade to Max Pack Extra at just $23. Call MCTV today at 228-6288 to upgrade or come in and sign up for a new service. Football fans, let MCTV get you back in the game.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
2 minutes after 7 now, a significant escalation is expected today in the impasse between the concerned residents of St. Joseph and the Tenby project developer at Bathsheba. At issue is a wall being constructed by the developer, which residents contend will prevent their traditional access to Joes River and the area known as Teacup and Saucer. CBC News understands that cultural ambassador and social activist, the Most Honorable Dr. Anthony Carter, and other prominent Barbadians will be on site to voice their concerns about the wall. The issue was raised last week by some residents, and there was a response by an attorney representing the developer. Unsatisfied by that explanation given, the residents intend to continue their protests. CBC News also understands that the concerned residents have retained the services of a prominent attorney at law to fight their cause. Consumers in the United States will be in a few days able to buy locally produced and packaged sugar in supermarkets there. That is the word, as the Barbados Agricultural Management Company shipped 2 containers of the product to Miami. Chief Executive Officer Orlando Atherley and other sugar officials spoke to Trevor Thorpe.
The demand for Barbados sugar in the U.S. market is high, and according to Barbados Agricultural Management Company officials, the process leading to today's exercise started more than a year ago, but there were some challenges.
What we're doing here this morning is a continuation of a strategy we rolled out over 3 years ago when we exited the bulk sugar space. That was to make direct consumption sugar where you extract a higher value into the market. Our marketing team, led by Mr. Gwynnes, has been working with a company out of Miami for the last year and a half in terms of getting sugar into the Miami market under their brand. This is a combination. We did a first shipment last month. What we wanted to make sure was that we got through all the custom procedures and the FDA procedures. That was done successfully. The sugar went on the shelf and stayed about 2 days. So we're now at the point where we're accelerating the exports. And Mr. Gwynnes will better speak to the volume that we will be shipping out on a monthly basis.
Today's shipment was 40,000 tons of sugar.
We were able to contact Blue Roof brands who were interested with the sugar from Barbados. So today we are so excited because the first shipment was received almost a month ago, and as the CEO indicated, the shelves are now empty and they are eager to receive the second shipment. We will go off today. We are sending 2 containers of 20 tons each into the market. It's expected that going forward every month we will send 3 containers, which will be 60 tons into the USA market.
Officials say all indicators are suggesting that expansion is on the cards.
We are also seeking now to expand in the regional market, where we currently have 1 customer in Trinidad, and there is interest for this harvest to have another customer, where we are looking at about 900 tons going into the Trinidad market as well from this harvest.
Direct consumption sugar from Barbados is in demand on the regional and international markets, and the sugar officials are in an upbeat mood as the local sugar harvest moves into high gear. Trevor Thorpe, CBC News.
Well, Barbados has sought help from its regional neighbours as it tries to mitigate the impact of rising animal feed costs. Minister of State, Foreign Trade and Business, Sandra Husbands, says the rising costs associated have caused great concern because it made the production of nutritional quality meats more expensive. According to her, the Barbados government reached out to Guyana, Belize, Suriname and Trinidad and Tobago about producing the necessary inputs for animal feed.
Because those would come in zero rated, hopefully we'll be able to control the cost of animal feed. And I must say that the response by those countries to that effort was immediately very positive, and Guyana started putting more acres of their land into the production of cassava and soya, corn and so on. Belize and Suriname as well followed suit. Trinidad had already started. So this would give us the food security which we need in order to be able to benefit from their presence. So along with general food security, when you have hurricanes, we also have this initiative in terms of animal feed production. And we're hoping that as that comes to fruition, that it will begin to flow into the Barbadian space.
The major United Nations meeting next March. It's the inaugural Global Supply Chain Forum. National Coordinator Carlos Wharton spoke about the significance of the event.
You would ask, why is that important? You would appreciate that COVID-19, the unfortunate events in Europe, in the war in Ukraine, and other bottlenecks caused due to a high demand for transportation and indeed for cargo, has led to significant bottlenecks in terms of our ability to access certain essential goods and services also, in some instances, talking about air transport. So for us, this Global Supply Chain Forum allows Barbados and other small island developing states to put on the table the key issues that they see are affecting their ability to trade.
Well, before we go, just to bring an update from our MCTV division, just some information you need to have at hand. If you could read it just like me. MCTV is informing its customers that they're conducting a system maintenance exercise today, Tuesday. Upon completion, you may receive a message asking you to update your channel listing. You kindly accept the update by pressing the OK button on your MCTV remote control. Should you experience any challenge accepting that update, we invite you to contact our customer care desk at 228-6288. We do apologize for any inconvenience. We'll take a break. We're coming back with more on Morning Barbados in just a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Affair segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb. And together we will travel the world.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We're 10 minutes after 7 o'clock now on this Tuesday morning. As you do know, this is the month of the disabled, and so we want to continue shining the light on these shining folks in our community. And so this morning we're joined by Rudyard Welch, who is the Assistant Secretary Treasurer of the National United Society of the Blind. We want to take a look at the upcoming talent show and youth group and sports. A lot happening. Good morning to you, Mr. Welch.
Good morning to you in Barbados.
Thank you so much for joining us. Now, there is so much going on. I don't know where you're going to start. Let's start talking first of all about the talent show coming up. Tell me about it.
Yes, the talent show is on the 18th of March at the Prince Cape Hall, Station Hill, District 8 Police Station. Majority of the performers will be persons with disabilities. There'll be singing, there'll be drama, there'll be ballroom dancing. There's a choir of persons of blind people who will be performing. There's a lot there for persons to come and witness. The cost is only $20, and we're going to have some special invited artists. Some of our well-known performers like Iweb and Sarul and Alison Hines and persons like that.
Ooh, you're having a big show, man.
The police band will be also there entertaining us.
It's a big show. When is it?
The 18th of March starts at 6 o'clock. Prince Cave Hall.
18th of March, 6 o'clock, Prince Cave Hall. I'm sure tickets are on sale. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, tickets are on sale at the box office as CS Pharmacy, Barbados Council for the Disabled, and you can contact me at 288-7226 or organization at 243331 if you're interested in purchasing tickets.
All right, so if we really want you to get your tickets, so to get your tickets to support the Barbados United Society of the Blind. Now that's the talent show on the 18th, but you're also going to be having sports coming up too.
Yes, we did a demonstration on Friday with blind football. We introduced blind football to Barbados in October last year, and we are now having practice sessions at the Barbados Hockey Association on Friday evenings, and we're trying to encourage young persons, male or female, to participate in blind football. We want to promote it through the Caribbean. And the workshop that we had in October, we had persons from Guyana, Grenada, Lucia, Trinidad, St. Vincent. So we're looking at putting together a regional tournament after we have train everyone, and we have some practice sessions, put together a team, and we'll be looking at having a regional competition before we go international.
All right. So how was that response to the football recently?
So far, we're having some good responses.
That's brilliant. So are you looking for other players to step forward?
Yes, we are looking for other players. In the blind football, the goalie must be a sighted person. All other persons are blind.
You know, we have one of our team here, his name is Ruel Ford. He considers himself a footballer of note. Maybe we should send him over and see what he can do with you guys.
Yes, he can.
Fair enough. Do you play the sport yourself, football?
I only did it on when we had the workshop, but I usually play a goal ball.
You know,
another sports that we have called goal ball. Yes, this is a sport. This court was big as a basketball court with 2 goal bars on each side, and there are 3 persons per team. And the ball has bells in it, and you will try to score on each other from side to side. But that is a very physical game because majority of the time you're on the floor.
I like that. Majority of the time you're on the floor. It sounds like fun, though. It sounds like a lot of fun. And while I might be chuckling at the whole thing, I want people not to see it as a spectacle, but it truly is another way to integrate and include people of different abilities who are in our society, who also want to live the life that we live, other people live. And so these are different sports that you guys are doing. Will you have opportunities eventually for the wider Barbados to come and see you guys at a tournament, at a competition, or any sort of the sort coming up?
Well, we are working on having sports disabled there, where persons will be able to observe all the games that blind people can play, And we are also participating in the domino competition here in Barbados. We have persons playing dominoes representing the organization.
Mm-hmm.
And that we've been doing that now for the past 3 to 4 years. So we participate in dominoes also.
Now, you're the National United Society for the Blind. Playing dominoes requires you to be able to
National
read.
United Society of the Blind, Barbados.
Right. So playing dominoes requires you to read the board. You must see the board. So how do you play dominoes?
No. We don't read the board.
Uh-huh.
We have dominoes that are like braille in design.
Yes.
And that's how our members play dominoes. But we have a unique way of reading the dominoes. As we are playing and our members play, we follow what they play.
Mm-hmm.
So we have an idea how your partner is playing. What the sighted persons, they can see, but
Yes.
you hear and we listen, and then we will know how to play accordingly.
Ah.
But it's a lot of fun.
I know. I mean, playing normal dominoes is a lot of fun. I can well imagine how it is for you guys as well. So this is fantastic. This is really great work that's happening at the National United Society for the Blind Barbados. And so you're opening up to everyone of different abilities to be a part of who you are as a community. And so do you get the sense that Barbadians are really now as inclusive as you'd want them to be of people of different abilities?
Not totally, but we're getting there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a work in progress, but it takes two to tangle.
Yes.
And we meet them halfway.
Well, good. I'm happy to meet you halfway. I am trying my best to meet you halfway for real. I'm serious. So there's football. I know that there were some exercises in badminton recently as well to be taught how to play the game of badminton. You play the dominoes, all sorts of things that you are doing in the National United Society of the Blind Barbados. But coming up on the 18th, we don't want people to miss this. On the 18th at the Prince Cave Hall in District A there in Station Hill is a big talent show and a chance for everyone to really come and enjoy some wonderful entertainment, but they need to get their tickets. So remind us again as to where we could call or where we can go to get our tickets to come support you.
Okay, the ticket office is CS Pharmacy, the Barbados Council for the Disabled, and you can contact me at 288-7226 or the organization at 234-33. And we have launched a youth group for all young blind or visually impaired persons who are interested in being part of a youth group for the Barbados of the Blind. We can be contacted at 234-3331 or email address is nusbbarbados@gmail.com. Persons between the age of 18 and 30 are welcome to join.
That's fantastic. Rudyard Welch, I want to thank you so very much. I really hope that you get the responses that you deserve and that you're looking for indeed for all of the activities that you have coming up, and that many young people who are either impaired or blind, that they do join the youth arm, 18 up to 40. You're invited to join the youth group of the National United Society of the Blind Barbados and engage. Don't sit at home and hide. Come out and engage with others like yourselves so that you can be a part of a community that's inclusive. Indeed. Thank you so much for joining us this morning and sharing with us the activities upcoming. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
You're very welcome. Rudyard Welch, Assistant Secretary Treasurer of the National United Society of the Blind Barbados. You can call them on 234-3331. 234-3331. Or you can call Rudyard himself. He is 288-7226. 288-7226. But on the 18th of March, Prince Cave Hall, District A Police Station, Station Hill, that's where the big talent show will be on. Lots of entertainment by the blind and visually impaired, plus some other entertainers as well. He said, I will be there, Alison Hines, some big top-notch performers indeed. So I encourage you to get your ticket as soon as possible to be a part. We're taking a break right here. We're coming back to look at childhood obesity and more in just a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb. And together we will travel the world.
Enjoy movies, soaps, drama, comedy, inspiration, education, music, and more. You get it all when you get MCTV, because MCTV gives you more.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
21 minutes now after the hour of 7 o'clock as we turn our attention to our pediatric care. Joining us as always is the world's best pediatrician, Dr. Julian Birchwood. Dr. Birchwood, she's chuckling. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Pearson. Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm well today. Thank you for asking. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I can't complain.
You see, I just so look forward to having these interactions with you. I have to big you up, you know, the world's best.
We have fun. We have fun.
We do. And so today we want to look at childhood obesity, and you know, and I want to go through the different stages. The baby is born, and we thought, what a beautiful bouncing baby boy or girl, so nice and chubby, cheeks are fat and rosy. Is that a good position to have a baby with these big cheeks, fat and rosy?
Well, I think it really depends on the life stage. So when you are a baby, it's okay to be fat and rosy. The fat distribution is different in very young children, and so they will look nice and juicy, is the way I like to put it. But really and truly, you know, it depends on how they grow. And so as a child is seen on a regular basis, especially during that first year, their weight, height, and head size is measured on a regular basis, and it is plotted on a growth chart so that you can see if their pattern of growth is normal, because of course every child is different. So it's not that my child will grow the same as someone else's child, but the pattern of growth is really important. But as children get older, they definitely start to become more lean and less chubby, and so it's really important to have a child's growth monitored to be sure it's right on track.
So as it grows, the child gets taller, and so we want to see how the weight is distributed as a consequence.
Yes.
Because if it is not distributed, then we got a problem.
Absolutely. You know, in the Caribbean, we love nice, chubby children. And as I said, at a certain age, that may be quite normal, but past a certain age, it really is not normal. And so just to give you an idea of what we're plotting and tracking a child's growth, there are growth charts that are used by pediatricians all over the world. And if you can look at the growth chart that's blue on the left-hand side, you can see an example of how a child's weight and length combined is plotted on the chart. So you can see those little red dots. Those are the measurements that are taken at each visit. And so whereas you'd expect the child to grow sort of parallel to one of those lines, you can see those red dots are going off the chart. So when you're seeing that, then you know that your child has a problem, and the pediatrician will start talking to you long before those red dots grow off the chart. On the right-hand side, you can see the body mass index, which we use for children who are aged 2 and above. And in the green zone, if you're following one of those parallel lines, then that is normal growth. The yellow zone that you can see at the top, your child will be described as overweight. And in the pink zone that is above the yellow zone, you can see that if your child is in that zone for the body mass index, they would then be described as being obese. So overweight and obese have specific meanings when you're in a doctor's office.
There's a vary between boys and girls. Are the graphs going to be relatively similar regardless?
So that's an excellent question. So there are growth charts for boys and growth charts for girls, because of course the expectations and the body type, it's going to be quite different, both in early childhood and definitely as we approach the adolescence. Boys are heavier and bigger than girls on average. And so what you'd expect for a 10-year-old boy is going to be quite different from what you'd expect for a 10-year-old girl. Yes.
So at what point do we what do we define then as childhood obesity? You know, so it's not just now that you're a little bit overweight, but you are obese. How do we get to that definition, and what is that definition?
So when someone is obese, that is a specific medical term that means that you are above the upper limit that you should be for your child's particular age and sex. So the obesity for a 6-month-old girl is going to be different for a 6-month-old boy. And we do rely on those charts that you're seeing. So usually it is not just a single measurement, but a pattern of measurement that lets us know whether the growth is normal. Body mass index is more specific. If on the chart for body mass index you are above the 85th percentile, that is overweight, and above the 95th percentile on that chart, you are obese. And that's a big red flag, because obese babies become obese children become obese adolescents, and obese adolescents become obese adults. And we all know about the epidemic of non-communicable diseases that we are having, many of which are definitely affected by obesity. So it's really important to nip it in the bud at an early age.
Because there are consequences if we don't nip it in the bud at an early age. I want to look at a graph that we have to share so that people get a sense graphically as to what we're talking about the consequences of childhood obesity. Explain for us what we're looking at here.
Yes, a lot of people, you know, again, they think that kids are really nice and chubby and sweet, but on the inside, there are major problems that can happen. So first of all, their self-esteem really can quite suffer when they're overweight or obese. You know that in school and in society, people will make comments. So they can suffer psychologically, they can have depression, they can develop eating disorders as they try to maintain a normal body weight. But their lungs can be affected because they don't have the same exercise tolerance. They're more likely to have asthma in addition. And they can have sleep apnea. You can have children who are so obese that they are snoring and having problems, which can actually lead to hypertension and other major problems. So sleep apnea is a big problem in children who have obesity. There are a lot of medical terms on this slide, but I left them because I wanted you to know that obesity is a medical problem that is quite major. Children who are more obese are more likely to develop gallstones, fatty liver disease. They can have bone problems, so that they can actually end up having surgery because they can have severe bone problems with bowing of their legs and problems in their hips. They can also develop cholesterol problems, diabetes. It's really quite a significant problem. Hypertension and heart disease. So obesity is a medical condition in children. And the other part that parents don't often realize is that when a child is obese, they go into puberty much earlier because of hormonal imbalances that are associated with childhood obesity. So it's not something that you want to take lightly because it can have major long-term, lifelong consequences for that child.
Is it simply a case of what we eat or what we didn't eat, or are there other factors that would predispose someone to be obese?
Yes, that's another good question. So, of course, yes, lifestyle factors are a major and probably the #1 cause of childhood obesity. However, there are certain medical conditions that a child may have obesity, so there may be hormonal imbalances. For example, if you have a thyroid problem where your thyroid is underactive, then your child may have obesity related to that. Another hormonal condition where you have cortisol or steroid problems in your body can cause obesity. Sometimes children have to be on medications for chronic conditions like chronic kidney conditions, for example, or autoimmune conditions. And they may have to be on steroid medication long term. And one major side effect of that is obesity. So not all obesity in childhood is because of lifestyle factors. There can be underlying medical problems which a child needs to be screened for if they do present to their doctor or to their nurse at the polyclinic with childhood obesity.
All right, so that's the medical side. So we know how to treat that with medical responses. Let's look now at the other side, the lifestyle choices now, the what we eat. advise us how we can prevent our children becoming obese. What should we eat?
Well, children should definitely be encouraged to eat the rainbow. Remember, with children, everything has to be fun. Everything has to be interesting. You know, so very often when they see fruit and vegetables at a certain age, you know, they turn up their nose and they look disgusted. And so that's a very real problem that parents face. We have to be real. Sometimes that is an issue. So, you know, you have to find fun ways to get your kids to eat these things. So eat the rainbow. Let's eat something red, orange, green, yellow. You know, let's make it fun. Make smiley faces with the different fruit and vegetables on that plate. So the first thing is we want diversity and variety in what the children are eating. The next thing is the portion sizes. What should be on that child's plate? Well, we need to see that we have half the child's plate in fruit and vegetables. And by the way, this doesn't just apply to the kids. This applies to the adults as well. There's no one way of eating for the children and another way of eating for the adults. So sorry, parents, you're accountable too. So half that plate should be fruit and vegetables. A quarter should be grains and high quality grains, and a quarter should be protein. And this is what a plate should look like. It should be colorful. It should be interesting. So on the left-hand side, you see a plate where a child will have animal protein, and on the right-hand side, you might see a vegetarian plate. And on both sides, you see half fruit and vegetables, a quarter grains, and a quarter protein. Make it fun and interesting. It doesn't have to be hard, and the rules apply to you parents also. So those are just examples of some ideas of what your children should be eating and how they're eating. It's quite straightforward, actually.
Yeah, actually it looks quite interesting too. When you describe it the way you have, and it looks the way it looks like something I could have. You know, I would have wanted a little different distribution, but now we know that, you know, it can actually be done. And it is a very practical application of what we've been talking about. So we begin to address the whole question of obesity by what we eat. And so when you have that, a handful of grapes, some salad, a piece of chicken, and some sliced, that's a bit of bread, not a lot of flour, but you can make a healthy meal for your child to control it the way they eat. And if you're going vegetarian as well, look at that, the same kind of thing, nuts and grains. All of that is right there as well. So this is fantastic.
Absolutely. Yes.
But, so that's one way. By what we eat is one way we can do so. You require us, therefore, as parents and caregivers, ourselves to model the behavior. You know, not one plate for me and another plate for you. You eat healthy, I will eat disgustingly. That's not what we're talking about. Lead by example.
Yes. So we have to be the change we want to see. So if we want to prevent our children from becoming obese, there's certainly some things that we can do. Parents, we have to model the healthy behavior. Parents and caregivers. You can't be sucking down that sugary juice or that sugary Morbi and expecting our children to do something different. So we have to model those healthy eating habits. They didn't learn to eat by themselves. We taught them. So we are to be held accountable for how they're eating. So healthy eating behaviors should be across the board. And a really important tip is do not buy and put in your house things that are temptations that are of low nutritional value. I love junk food. I will confess that on public television. I love junk food. But I will not buy it and put it in my house. If you're coming to visit my house, Pearson, I'm going to have to run down the road and buy something for you to eat, because I will not put it in my house, because then I'm going to be eating all of it. So it's really important not to stock those things at home. And of course, we want the kids to be active outside for at least 1 hour a day. And it doesn't have to be an exercise program. Kids love fun. You put them outside, they're going to find the neighbor, they're going to play hide and seek, they're going to play tag, they're going to play football, they're going to climb trees, they're going to get into trouble, and all of that burns off lots of calories. So get them outside. We don't want them to have a sedentary lifestyle, staring at the TV or that tablet or playing those video games all day. It's really important. Get them outdoors. They will grumble and mumble, but they will find something to do. And then you will get them active an hour a day without them even realizing that they've been active. And make sure you watch their liquid calories. You don't want them drinking too many high-calorie drinks, because those definitely add weight. Water, water, water. You want them to have lots and lots of water. So those are some of the tips for what we can do to help prevent children from having obesity.
These are so wonderful tips indeed. And again, I think I can apply this to myself. I think I'm old enough now to be considered a child. And, you know, I can see it working for anyone, really and truly, when one addresses how one's lifestyle. Because for me, for instance, you know, I'm sitting here and then I'm going to get up and go sit somewhere else. I'll sit through the day and then I'll go home and sit down again. We have to get active. That's one. Regular meal times are also very, very critical. The portion sizes, as we talked about, the way it's distributed across the plate, those are different things that we can all do. And if we model that behavior, our children themselves begin to model it as well. But lots of consumption of water is also very, very vital to what we consume as well, to combat the childhood obesity we're talking about. So there's a lot we can do. There are medical conditions that would prescribe children to be obese, we get that, and so the medical doctors will deal with that. But if there's anything lifestyle that we are contributing to our children's obesity, we have to change it, folks, because the long-term effects are dangerous and damaging. And this is not the time for us to close our head or to put our heads in the sand and ignore it. We have to pay greater attention to it. It's frightening. Thank you so much, Dr. Birchwood, as always, for joining us. Looking forward to having that interaction with you again, my friend, next week, Tuesday.
Same here. Take care. Have a great day.
You do too as well. Dr. Gillian Birchwood, the world's best pediatrician. Simple in the way she described what we're talking about today, but now we can see how we can all play our part in addressing the whole question of childhood obesity so that we can stave off long-term damaging effects on our children. We're taking a break here. We're coming back in just a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and inspirational. You are the epitome of the Barbadian spirit, testing the boundaries of your creativity. If you are an entrepreneur, artist, baker, designer, author, or have done anything you think should be highlighted, email us at morninbarbados@cbc.bb. Let us show the world our exceptional Bajan youth.
Books open your heart, your mind, and your soul. They are educational, entertaining, inspiring, and motivating. Are you an author of a recent book you want to share? Then Mornin Barbados would love to feature your book in our The Next Chapter segment. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. That's morning without the G. Come and let us turn those pages together.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
22 minutes now to go to 8 o'clock as we turn our attention to season 4 of Battered, Bruised, Not Broken. And so joining us to talk a little bit about this is Kimisha King. Kimisha, good morning to you.
Good morning, Pearson. How are you doing?
I'm well today. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I am doing well. I am blessed.
Good. Spare me a moment. Folks, spare me a moment. Let me tell you who she is. She is a visionary strategist and life purpose coach, speaker, a podcaster, an author, a publisher, a content creator, entrepreneur, creator of the Reimagining My Reality framework. There's a lot you do, but you're not broken.
Nope.
And that's the whole point here, you know, because while your series really speaks to women, and looking at their realities, battered, bruised, but not broken, to show the strength of the woman. You know, at the same time, it shows the brokenness of our community, our societies, and that's what you're seeking to be able to highlight.
Yes, it really, like I keep telling you, I need to hire you because you get the vision so well. You get it so well. Yes, that's exactly what we're highlighting, because, you know, so many women, you know, we've been taught as women to be strong, and nobody gets an award for being strong, nobody gets a badge of honor or anything for being strong, because that's expected. You know, we're women, we're supposed to nurture, we're supposed to be strong in the home and so on. But these women that I have been able to interview thus far on the show, I mean, the things that they share that they have gone through, I mean, it's just mind blowing, you know, that they would have been able to overcome such adversity such as this. And it gives me great pleasure because it helps them to also get that complete healing as they begin to talk about it. And then it encourages the viewer who is watching and is in that similar situation to say, oh my goodness, I can come out of this because now I have an example that I can model, so I know that I can overcome this.
The show encourages community, the coming together in one space by a number of people who can share as they do so. And so we are about to embark on season 4. And so in season 4, we're building on the successes of seasons 1, 2, 3. What's different about the approach in season 4?
The approach really remains the same. What we are doing now that may be slightly different is that we're trying to widen our palette because it's not only catered to Barbadians, it's catered globally. So what we want is to really have a bigger mix of persons in there. So currently, so far, we've been able to have persons throughout the Caribbean. So we had persons from Jamaica, Trinidad, Bahamas. We've had persons from the USA and also from Nigeria and Kenya. We want to be able to reach persons in some of those places, you know, some of the countries that we didn't even know was a country. Those are the ones that we want to really target and hear those stories as well.
And you know, I suppose in hearing those stories that you get to hear how subtly similar they are and how different people in different cultures respond as well, because culture also determines behavior. And so you learn from those different behaviors.
That's correct. That's absolutely right, because you get to hear. And then the thing is, when we hear them, we go like, oh my goodness, like everybody can connect. Even though it's catered for women, I mean, men can still watch this show and go like, oh my goodness. You know, I saw that with my mom. I saw that with my wife. You know, we can still connect because it's something that is happening globally. And we don't even recognize that that's the case. And it's amazing to see that even though we have the various cultures, that we can still connect on that level. That's just amazing.
And it helps to break the cycle, because in knowledge, one is held accountable, and in being held accountable, one would hope that one seeks to change what it is that we recognize that we need to change. You said it's an online show, battered, bruised, not broken. So where can we find the show, and when does it restart?
So we start tomorrow, March 8th. We start a first series episode. It starts at 6:30 p.m. That's Atlantic Standard Time. You can go to YouTube at Queen's Mindset, and you can find all of even if you want to catch up on those shows, season 1, 2, 3, you can go on there. You can also find them there too as well. But tomorrow we'll be live. You'll get to chat with us as it's happening live and everything. Put your comments in the chat and everything at 6:30 p.m. on YouTube channel, that Queen's Mindset. So
on YouTube, you search for Queen's Mindset, and that's where it's going to be. The show is live at 6:30, and you have a chance to get into the chat box and talk, share your views, listen to the contributions of the ladies who are going to be there. And so tomorrow, you're going to be having Pastor Evelyn Onyema. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes, you're correct. Onyema, Yes, we're going to be having her, and she has a phenomenal story to share. She's from Nigeria. She talks about, you know, what she would have gone through when she was actually getting ready to give birth. So when she was pregnant, she learned just before she was ready to give birth, just about 2 weeks before that, she would have learned that she had 2 children and not 1. Ooh. But when it was time for her to deliver, she lost the second child. So she never got to bring that second child into this world. And then she had to deal with that postpartum depression, everything that she was going through, while still having to operate as a pastor and a wife and still a mother, because she still had other children. So she talks about all of that she would have been able to overcome.
She shows her strength, and so she shows anyone else who might have that, not necessarily the similar condition, but who also find themselves in a position of leadership on whom people depend. But you're also dealing with your own challenge. How do you now still rise above it all and still push through? And all at the same time, how do you say to those who are watching you, I'm just like you, I have failures and failings just like you, but that does not break who I am. Let me cry for just a moment, you know, and then we can all build. And I think this is what's going to make the whole series so very interesting. So is it once a week?
Yes, every Wednesday.
So it's every Wednesday starting tomorrow. Starting tomorrow, every Wednesday at 6:30 on the YouTube channel Queen's Mindset. Battered, bruised, not broken. Some very strong and powerful women. So we meet the Nigerian first, and then you have a whole series of women that you're going to share with us through the whole series.
So we have women from Barbados, we have women from Jamaica, we have women from also from the USA too as well. I am really excited this one too because we get to have one of the UN ambassadors from Jamaica, and that's Leticia Wright. So she gets to tell her story, and she has a phenomenal story. I was not even expecting that when I got to sit and chat with her based on everything she would have gone through. She suffered a series of loss after loss after loss, but yet still she was able to, you know, live such a successful life that she's been doing now and being able to go and encourage other persons.
There is nothing like telling the people's story. I'm telling you, Kamisha King, you are well poised and powerful indeed, and that is brilliant. How you're able to use yourself, put yourself aside for just a moment, but to use the opportunity through your YouTube channel to reach out to help others as well, and to change those mindsets. If you feel battered and bruised, remember you're not broken. And even if you feel that you're broken, you are built not to break. You're built to succeed indeed. And that's the whole point with this series that starts tomorrow, International Women's Day. Great day to kick it off.
I'm telling you, a really, really great day, And Pearson too, as well, I want to share for those persons who might be watching, and they too have a story. They're thinking, but I would love to be on part of that show. They come on, you know, we welcome any and everyone. What's your story? You know, you want to tell it, you can send us an email at queensmindset.qm@gmail.com. And we'll love to hear and have you up on the show. Season 5 comes out in September. We start before September, of course, but reach out to us and let's get your story up there too as well.
queensmindset.qm@gmail.com. queensmindset.qm@gmail.com, the email address. Just reach out to Kamisha King and her team, and they will be happy to hear from you, your story, so that you can inspire others as well as others have inspired you. That's what it's all about. Battered, bruised, not broken. Restarts tomorrow, Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. If you're in North America, it's going to be 5:30 your time, but 6:30 we time until next week comes around when you get back on we time. And so we want to encourage you to be a part of it. It's going to be quite an interesting series again of women sharing, but men, we can share in what they're sharing as well. We want to encourage as many of you as possible to be a part of it indeed. Queen's Mindset on YouTube, that's where it's going to be at 6:30 tomorrow. Kamisha, thank you so much for joining us again, and all the very best in your continued advocacy and your work in our community.
Thank you so much. Have a great show.
You do too. Thank you so much. Kamisha King, she is everything, but she has the Queen's Mindset. She wants you to be a part of it too. Tomorrow evening on YouTube, 6:30. Join it for Battered, Bruised, Not Broken. We're taking a break right here. When we come back, Worse Unscrambled. Get ready, folks. Get your thinking caps on. We're back in a bit.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Because you love English Premier League, MCTV has got it back. Now you can watch all the games of the English Premier League plus UEFA and NFL on MCTV. Current customers can upgrade to Max Pack Extra at just $23. Call MCTV today at 228-6288 to upgrade or come in and sign up for a new service. Football fans, let MCTV get you back in the game.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Unscramble this.
That's your challenge to unscramble this. 10 and a half minutes now to go to 8 o'clock, so we got time. 228-5562 or 228-5563 are the only numbers for you to call to let me know whether or not you have been brilliant in unscrambling some of the scrambled words we have to share with you this morning. We'll have a lot of fun. And as always, I'd encourage you to let me know your name, where you're calling from, that kind of thing. You know, we have a conversation. I'd like to talk to you too. So 228-5562 or 228-5563. A simple word to start with, and then I don't know where we're going to go after that. But it won't be easy all the time. So 228-5562-63, unscramble this. Who? What word is that? What word could this possibly be? I thought it was a very simple one, but it doesn't look that simple to me anymore. Can you unscramble this word? What word do you think it is? Take your time. 228-5562 or 228-5563. A number of you have been very, very brilliant. I don't know where it is in your, how you get that mindset, but you have been able to look at it and get it. You are great. I tell you, I applaud you. If you're not that great, don't take the challenge. Look at that. Somebody already has an answer. Good morning. Hello.
Hey, good morning, Pearson. How are you?
Great. I'm well. How are you doing?
Not bad.
I am about to
simple word.
I am about to tell you that you're wrong, so I can't wait. What word is it? Tell me, Greg, what word is it?
I had always thinking, yeah, but it's simple word, but not this one.
Me too, and it changed on me, so I gotta work. I have to work with it. So you don't know.
No, I don't know.
All right, buddy. Thanks. So have a good morning. All right.
Enjoy your day.
Thank you, Gregory. You too. Boy, at least he's honest. Don't know. I don't know either. But you tell me, folks. 228-5562 or 228-5563. This looks so jumbled up. It is beyond measure. Good morning. Hello. Good morning.
Hello, Quintennial.
I beg your pardon?
Quintennial.
All right, let's start. Let's walk this very slowly. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing well, thanks.
Oh, you're welcome. What's your name?
My name is Cheryl.
Hello, Cheryl. What parish are you watching from?
St. Michael.
Cheryl of St. Michael. Okay, Cheryl of St. Michael, you believe this word that you're seeing is?
Is it Quintennial? It's Quintennial.
Who?
Quintennial, no?
Cheryl, I've never heard that word in my life. It's the truth. I don't know what you're talking about, but you're wrong, Cheryl, all right?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl of St. Michael, for trying. What did she say? Don't know. 228-5562 or 228-5563. This one is a cracker, folks. Got you good now. Got you. 228-5562 or 228-5563. The challenge is yours. Accept it. Tell me the word. Let me know. Come through, geniuses. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Hello, how are you?
Good.
Good. Who's calling?
Haley.
Haley, how are you? Haley, it's been a while. I haven't heard you.
Good.
Good. So tell me, Haley, what word do you think it is?
Inequality.
Haley, don't guess the word. Tell me what word you think it is.
Inequality.
Are you sure?
Yes, please.
What makes you so certain, Haley? Haley?
Because they have in a different and quality at the end.
Look at you, Haley, if that's your explanation. Haley, you are absolutely right. It is indeed inequality. Well done, Haley. You heading off to school now? Haley?
Yes, please.
Are you heading out to school now?
Yes, please.
Have a good day at school, okay? Take care. Bye-bye. Haley is her name. She is absolutely right. Inequality is the answer to that one. Can we give them another one? I say yes, we can. Let's see if you can work this one out now. Look at this one. This one also looks like total confusion. Your job is to sort it out. Sort those letters into exact order of a word and let me know the word you see. 228-5562 or 228-5563. If you are on a different service that is a whole lot slower, then be patient. It'll get to you in time. 228-55... I'm with you. I'm with you. Woo. 228-5562 or 228-5563. Sort out this word for me now. Come, tell me. What is it? What is this word? 228-5562 or 228-5563. Let me know. Haley has the first one right. Well done to Haley. So Cheryl and Gregory were wrong. Haley got it right. So who shall get this one right now? Good morning to you. Hello.
Hello, good morning, Pearson.
Hey, how are you?
I'm okay.
Good. You better get this right here.
I hope so.
Let me hear you.
It looks like segregation.
It looks like that to you, but what word is it? Seriously, what word is it? What word?
It looks like segregation.
I'm going to give you a third chance. What word is it?
Hold on, Pearson. Don't do that
anymore. Billy, you are absolutely right. It is indeed segregation. Well, you just looked at it and guessed it?
Yes, kind of, because I was saying congregation, but it doesn't have a C. It was a G, because I had to put on my glasses.
You're right, though. Segregation. Well done, Billy. Well done. All right?
Okay.
Have a good day. Have a good day. So, Haley and Billy got the right ones so far. Who will be next? 228-5562 or 228-5563. Look. No. Good dear. Good dear. Can you figure this one out? 228-5562 or 228-5563. What word is this? What total nonsense is this that you can see on your screen? And then tell me, what word is it? Yes, the plot really truly thickens. 228-5562 or 228-5563. What word can you make when you unscramble the letters that you see on your screen? 228-5562 or 228-5563 are the numbers to call me and to let me know the word you see when you unscramble the letters on your screen. Time is ticking by. You don't have a lot of time, folks. Come on, let me go. 228-5562 or 63. Good morning. Hello.
Good morning.
Hi, how are you?
Good morning. I'm looking at the word on the TV right now. Is it segregation?
That's the word you're looking at?
Segregation.
That word, segregation, if you take some time, you will see that we've moved on from segregation and we've gone to a new word. You know why that is happening to you? Do you know why that's happening to you?
No.
I can tell you why that's happening to you. Because you're using a service to receive your television transmission. That's a whole lot different from ours. But thank you for trying, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good day. Have a good day. Oh dear, oh dear. So we're going to hold this one, folks. We're going to hold this one. All right? Be patient. We get there. We'll take a break right here. We're coming back in a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
So in the few seconds that remain, I really want to thank all of you for joining us today. Today I learned how to distribute my food on my plate as we tackle childhood obesity and obesity in general, indeed. And I really hope that you as parents and caregivers, you really paid attention to the distribution of the food that you have on your plate to help your child manage their sizes as well. Thank you so much for joining us. My producer today has been Alicia Asgrant. Technical director has been Samuel Mason, assisted by Ruel Ford at Sound, Christopher Blenman, and at Master Control today, Big Brown, Everson Brown. For all of them, to each of you, we say thank you. Come back tomorrow. We have a whole lot more. See you then. Take care. Bye-bye.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning, Barbados, good morning.